Hello, everyone. That's right. I think investors should look at it as a core portfolio holding. The Granny Shots is basically a thematic portfolio that buys the strongest stocks in a specific theme. So when you think of AI and millennials, Tesla, I mean, they're really at the center of that. I think in 10 years, Tesla has the opportunity to become, a transformational company because of what they're doing. If someone does look forward 10 years, Tesla may be a great opportunity here. The market's pretty nervous. We can see it in the credit markets. That's really where Tesla bonds began to weaken. And I think there are some sort of doubts about their execution. But look, they've got a really loyal customer base. They've gotten a very charismatic CEO. So, in some ways, I actually think Tesla is going to come out of this fine. I think investors need to see some execution before they get comfortable. But this is the time that if someone's really bullish, they should be getting involved because it's had a huge pullback. I think Tesla has all the ingredients to become a real transform. Yes, we're bullish, yeah, and it's coming at a time when everyone is a little nervous and scared, and geopolitical risk. This is the time when if you're long-term oriented, you want to be adding exposure to equities. As long as tech is a market perform. If tech actually declines, that's going to be hard for the rest of the S&P 500 to compensate. But what we've seen so far, including Tesla recently, is that tech is actually holding its own. But other stocks are starting to show a catalyst and signs of life. Tesla has endured some pretty severe rate hikes. So we know companies are managing this cycle well. If the fade turns neutral or dovish, that's even more positive for stock. So I think that the environment for equity still is as good because they survived a stress test. It's only bad if the FE has to raise rate. When it comes to Tesla's impressive growth, it's not just about observing from the sidelines for Tesla bulls and those with a keen eye for uncovering the next stock market gem. There is a lot of information about Tesla on this page. What should the price of Tesla stock be? Innovations at Tesla and everything Elon Musk does. If you click on one of the ad links in the description and then buy something, our channel might get a small payment. This is because, a lot of the wealth managers and family offices I've talked to and seen don't want to commit cash until after election day. It does not matter to them who wins. They only want the event to end. It turns out that the wins in November and December are pretty big. They also take place when the market is up more than 10% in the first half. November and December were kind of bumpy until September. I think there is a lot of upside in the foreseeable future. Let's say 3-6 months out. Yes, I'm bullish into year end, but I'm a little less confident about how markets behave into election day. And not that I think we're going to have a huge drawdown. If we do have a big drawdown, I'd be buying that dip. But I also don't think we can make new highs and then see the market blast off after election day. So I'd rather sort of say things look a lot better after election day. I think that's been a dynamic. I've been fooled by seasonality because I figured from September to election day markets would be very tentative because this is an extremely close race. This is a coin toss, according to Nate Silver. But something that Stan Driller said last week might explain a lot, that markets are betting that Republicans could take the Senate, and that actually could ignite animal spirits. So there may be underlying momentum that the Republicans take parts of Congress. And that's why markets are bullish. Well, Scott, we're cautious, but we advised our clients to be buying the dips. And the reason we're cautious is that I'm probably saying something very obvious, but I think investors want to see who ends up becoming president after election day. So I think we are in a period where markets are just us sitting on the sidelines. But at the same time, 2024 has been such a strong year, Scott, that I think the last 2 weeks have proven that maybe macro is taking a little bit of a step back now, and liquidity and all this cash on the sidelines is really the dominant factor. There's a lot of firepower, us supporting stocks up post-election because we've got a Fed that's dovish, and the economy looks healthy. I don't think we're in a recession, and so how do you know? The 3-month and 6-month outlooks are very strong for stocks, and I think China, while there's maybe some hesitation, but China's government is really starting to unleash some measures, and that's supportive of that region finally turning. And of course, the third factor is, I think after 2 years, investors who've been very cautious are starting to realize that the 6 trillion of cash on the sidelines and the low levels of margin debt need to be put to work at a time when the Fed is supporting the economy. It has been one of those years where investors have been hesitant all year, and I think we'd have had some short pullbacks, but I think the best strategy for investors is to really stick with what's working. And what's working is AI. First. The number of expected the cuts have been smaller than expected, but they've been smaller for the right reasons. The economy has been good and inflation is rising at a rate that may not please everyone. However, 3% or even 27% inflation is good for business profits, so I think the earnings outlook is much better than most people think. Bull markets are based on strong foundations. In this case, the economy has not only been able to handle very high interest rates, but the Fed is also beginning to lower rates. China's economy has been having a hard time, but now we have some stimulus and bazooka policies that are helping that area. We also have a lot of cash on the line, which I think will help stocks do pretty well over the next 3 to 12 months. I think it makes sense for the Fed to be dovish because inflation is still moving toward their 2% goal, and the job market is giving people a lot of worry. So I think the Fed needs to be supportive. Another thing I think is that this election is becoming less of a coin toss because people have been doing nothing. I think these are the main reasons why markets are becoming more confident, even before an election. The markets like to know what's going on, so they can trade more effectively before the election if it looks like one candidate will win by a large margin. Actually, I know this is just market history, but I think stocks will do pretty well next year, whether Trump or Harris wins. It will be like a victory lap. But there are clear differences between how well different industries and types of assets do based on who wins. I think people are probably more worried about growth these days, so the jobs reports and claims seem to have a bigger effect on the market. I think that's going to be the case in September as well. We have the Fed meeting at sort of in the middle of the month, but this week is the jobs report. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of focus on that. I think investors should be careful for the next 8 weeks. That's right, when the market has gone up 7 out of 8 months this year, so we know it's very strong. However, the September cuts and the election will make people nervous. I think people have a chance to buy in the next 8 weeks, so I think it's best to be careful but ready to buy that dip, even if there is some geopolitical risk. I believe the market is starting to bet more on a Trump victory, which means that it'll have a chance to buy high. However, investors should be careful because this is a strong market that has been testing their patience. In the end, I think we should expect volatility because it is a strong market. I don't think this is the peak for 2024. The next 8 weeks will be tougher. But do you know who else shares Tesla's optimism? That would be today's sponsor, Seeking Alpha. Seeking Alpha has the most news about Tesla than any other site on the web. Click on the affiliate link in the summary below to get the most up-to-date price ranges for Tesla's products. Innovation in everything Elon Musk, as you say. The Nasdaq could even go down even more. Drops like that usually happen in both directions, but you have to keep an eye on the VIX. When the VIX peaks and starts to roll over and fall down, the recovery can be just as quick.